Hello everybody, Dave Neal here, stand-up comic and host of Bachelorette Recap, a guy's review. Lots of Bachelor content to get to. Just got back from my trip to Belize. It was amazing. Good to be back here in Los Angeles, and a ton of information that's out there. In this video, I'm going to play a clip from Kaitlyn Bristowe's podcast Off the Vine, where she interviewed Emmanuel Acho. As we know, Emmanuel Acho, former NFL player and author of the book Uncomfortable Conversations with a Black Man, along with a ton of other gigs. He's out there doing Lexus commercials. He's got a show on Fox's FS1, whatever it's called. Listen, the guy's working. He was hired while Chris Harrison was taking a break from this past season of The Bachelor to host the After the Final Rose ceremony, as they thought it would be a good idea to have a black man sort of be the intermediary between the issues that happened with Matt James, the lead of the show, the first mixed race black lead of The Bachelor, and Rachael Kirkconnell, who had some problematic, if not racially insensitive posts in the past, attending an antebellum party, this and that. So it's very interesting to hear what Emmanuel Acho had to say, because as we know, these shows are taped live, but then they're edited, so we don't always get to hear everything that actually went down. In the conversation, Matt James barely made eye contact with Rachael Kirkconnell. They didn't hold hands. They didn't touch. They looked like they were a completely dead relationship. And as we now know, they are back together, doing really well, living their lives. So let's get right into it. And in the meantime, do me a favor, hit the like button and subscribe to this channel if you haven't already. We are inching our way to 40,000 YouTube subscribers. I appreciate every single one of you. Just a year ago, we were at a trusty little 2,000. So the growth has been amazing. Thank you guys all so much for that. Let's jump right into this video. I'll play this clip. It's broken down into a few segments here. We'll hear what Emmanuel has to say about the vibe between Rachael Kirkconnell and Matt James, as some are wondering, were they actually together the whole time? But there was going to be a lot of blowback, so he had to kind of create like a breakup. Or was it staged, or was it just a complicated scenario that took some time to get their truths out? Let's have a listen.
Matt was so powerful, and I know, like, in that time, I remember you asking, and I'm sure you've answered this before, but I remember you asking, is this something that you can forgive and move past to Matt? And he said no, and now they're back together. I wanted to know if you have thoughts on that. And I'm sure, again, yeah, I need to know. And I mean, my listeners are obviously Bachelor Nation supporters. And I mean, you were actually a big reason why I said yes to the hosting role, because it made me think that I am being part of a change, that they will have more important conversations, that they will move in the right direction, and that I could be a part of that. So thank you. And also, how do you feel about Matt James?
So I haven't commented on this publicly yet. So this will be, I guess, my first public comment.
I was like assuming you've talked about this. Okay.
No, I haven't said anything on it. I hit up Matt privately, hit up Rachel privately.
To see you up there having that conversation with Rachel and Matt.
Go to the next part.
But never publicly. I'm happy for them. And I'm happy for them because, and Matt, he won't be mad at me, and if he is, it's all good. Because, man, I knew they at least needed to be together in the interim. Mm-hmm. And why? Because he fell in love with an individual. And he fell in love with an individual not cognizant of the individual's past actions. Mm-hmm. Now, the individual's past actions don't necessarily define the individual in the present, unless that's still who she is.
Right.
And so as I'm sitting there asking Matt all these questions, I'm just like, he's not going to be with her right now because he can't, and I will say what Matt couldn't say, and maybe Matt didn't want to say, but as a black man, y'all don't understand, and I say y'all being non-black men who are listening to this, mm-hmm. If you decide to pursue a relationship in that climate with this white woman, with the whole world calling her racist, but never publicly, I'm happy for them. And now everybody's calling you all types of names that I won't even utter on this.
Yeah.
Matt's hands were tied. His hands were tied. I tried to untie them. You know, I asked the question. I don't think they ended up running it. But I asked, like, hey, would you be in this relationship if not for pressure from the black community? Or, like, what is the pressure from the black community that's causing you to be in this, that's keeping you from this relationship? Like, I tried to let the world know, like, hey, Matt, blink twice. Like, because I feel like it's impossible. And I'm speaking as a black man. It would have been impossible for him to leave the stage with her without getting crucified.
Yeah.
But what people did not see is after the cameras cut, they left arm over arm. They walked off the stage. Now, she was crying, and he wouldn't console her in front of the cameras. Mm-hmm. But as soon as they left, it was his arm over hers, and there was still so much affection.
Right.
So I'm thrilled. I posted their pictures on my Instagram story the other day. It makes me happy to see them happy. Obviously, and let's make sure we say this, Rachael continuing to do the growth, continuing to learn, continuing to grow. It's by no means the end for Rachael and her progress, and I think she would admit that. Yeah. But I didn't want the polarization of racism in our society to keep them from being together.
That's so fair and very well said. And I mean, like you said, if she continues, and she is continuing to do all this work, and like obviously Matt is there to support her and she's there to support Matt, like you can't fight love at the end of the day, you know? And if people are growing and evolving through that and they can do it together, that's really impactful.
I'm thrilled.
All right, there it is, folks. So you can go listen to that interview off the Vine, Kaitlyn Bristowe interviewing Emmanuel Acho. Okay, yeah, of course. I know I say this a lot, but fascinating stuff here. He said past actions don't define the individual in the present. So, of course, if someone had ignorant issues or even racist issues or whatever the case may be in the past, the question becomes, do we judge them for their mistakes? Did they serve a life sentence? Or did they learn from it and they've moved forward to do better? Now, in a lot of cases, you and I and other people out there can learn lessons without being on a national spotlight. You can learn, oh, I shouldn't have used that word. Oh, I shouldn't have treated so-and-so that way. Oh, I shouldn't have done X, Y, and Z. And you can learn that and move forward, maybe teach your kids better, whatever the case may be. In instances like this, which happens all the time on Bachelor, you get someone who's got a tweet up from 2012 or an antebellum photo from 2018. The times don't really matter. We argue like, well, if it was right in 2019, we argue this, that Chris Harrison, infamous kind of like death sentence he had. And that's not what's important. What's important is growth, okay? And we don't grow in a linear way where, well, in 2017, I decided I can't use the Q word, but in 2018, I decided I can't use the whatever the case may be. Insert it. That's just not how it works. So we have empathy and grace, and of course, throughout the conversation about having grace for Rachael Kirkconnell and Matt James so that their relationship could sort of get its sea legs about it. Do you know what I mean? Having grace for them. You also have to have grace for the people that are continuously in scenarios in which race is a factor. Okay? So it's not about pretending that race doesn't exist. It's about acknowledging that it exists, but looking for the little victories that move people forward. We so often go, oh, it's 2021. We're way past the civil rights. We're way past this. We're way past the laws and this and that. And you go, no, listen, social media is new. It's new and it's a blip in it just is blossoming in our nation's history. And we're acknowledging a lot of horrific things from the past and present that have happened. And moving forward, we're trying to right those wrongs. Now, like any scenario, the pendulums will often swing in a direction that is farther from where the truth actually is. I'm not saying that's the case with Matt James, but, for him to explore that could be. He could be exploring the fact that he was feeling love, maybe for the first time, and yet at the same time, he knew there was a large group of people that weren't going to be accepting of him pursuing that love because they would have felt let down. That is not something I have ever felt. I've never loved someone and other people had any other points of views other than be happy for me. What a privilege I have. What a love privilege I have had that I have just had a small support group of people that were happy for me, haven't been in the public eye in my formative kind of years or growing into my relationship or even who I am, that I've just been able to kind of tinker around and figure it out on my own. Unfortunately, with The Bachelor and The Bachelorette, they don't have that luxury. They usually meet people that have their own past and it gets thrown in their face for the whole world to see. Now, say my fiance, which this isn't the case, but say a slew of anti-Semitic tweets came out from her from 10 years ago. it would be a conversation worth having. Absolutely. But I know where her heart is now. I know she comes from Kentucky and I come from Rhode Island, and both places we come from, along with every state in the nation, and I'm sure up in Canada, you're reckoning with your own history with colonialism, and take it everywhere. The Belgians in Africa, everywhere you look, we are built on a bedrock of real awful things that humanity has done to get to where we are today, and we're having that conversation. But so I look at Kentucky or Rhode Island, and I see the ignorance, and I see the fear-based sort of racism. I see all of that, and I go, okay, well, look, are we going to write off all the people that have said the wrong things or thought the wrong things out of fear? And again, I'm not saying that we forgive them blanketly, but do we do what Emmanuel Acho and what others are saying is not let past actions define an individual in their present? So it doesn't mean that people aren't held accountable for things they have said or done, but it means we'll continue to reckon with people learning and growing, and we'll have to decide collectively, are we going to be accepting of people's growth, or are we going to punish them for who they used to be? Is it a life sentence? What is the price they pay? So with regards to Matt James and Rachael Kirkconnell, the price that they've paid has been, clear. I mean, if you look at Rachael, clearly just fatigued and stressed and emotionally speaking, lost weight and blemishes and rashes. I mean, she went to hell and back in her own way. Through that, she realized what wrong she had done in the past. She made very brave and apologetic messages on her Instagram TV. Still, by far, the best apology of all of the, Taylor Nolans and Chris Harrisons and all Hannah Browns. Rachael Kirkconnell, she set the barometer and she set the bar to a certain level. That's like, look, I'm not apologizing in a way where I'm saying I didn't know it was bad, because that's not an excuse, but I'm going to move forward, and this is how. And doing the work is a term we've talked a ton about, and it doesn't mean every single day you try to rewrite all the atrocities. It means continually educating yourself, understanding you don't know what you don't know, and keeping your eyes, ears, and heart open so that we can try to treat everyone as equals, and we can try to live in a system where we give everyone the same amount of equity so we can all start on the race at the same place. I think that's all we want. And I understand there'll be people that'll watch this or listen and they'll go, oh, Dave, they're out to get our jobs, or they're, whatever the fear-based thoughts that you have about people and this and that. Just try to control those in your circle and those in your work community and your friend group and your love life. Just try to have conversations with those that can get everyone to realize everyone's trying the best with the information we have. We come from a dark place, and we're just trying to lead with love, high energy, high frequency, not too hard, right? The conversations on Facebook and other social medias are designed to stoke fear, anger, hatred. The algorithms are built to get us to yell back at each other, to strangers. And all I ask of you is this: if you see yourself in a pissing match, the first step to enlightenment is to learn to get out of that pissing match. Okay? You don't need to be in a bar fight with some random stranger, and you sure as hell don't need to be on Facebook yelling at your second cousins. Okay? What we need more is love, acceptance, and growth. And this way that Emmanuel Acho speaks of could be the path there. It could be the path to say, you know what? Let's grow from our mistakes. Let's not hold each other accountable to a life sentence, and let's keep making progress and moving forward. Let me know what you guys think. It is very fascinating for Emmanuel Acho to say, hey, look, they left there hand in hand. We didn't know that. We thought they were broken up and done. I made a eulogy video for him. He said they left there arm over arm. He didn't console her on TV. He didn't feel like he was there at a place to do that. Some people will say, oh, he's a coward for this and for that. But I just ask you to have empathy and grace for Matt James, because we have no idea what he went through in pursuing his love. We have no idea. All right, folks, let me know what you guys think. Live stream tomorrow, 4 p.m. Tons of other content coming. We'll see you guys later. Bye now.